I wanted to do something that wasn't entirely out of my wheelhouse, but was fun and for kids. And you know, I got kids now. I got a 26-year-old, so he's been able to come see most of the movies I've been making for, I don't know, 13 years. And then, but the young ones, they're always home at premiere night. So I thought that would be fun. And honestly, there was something about just the gentle, sweet adventure and the idea of communication and empathy and all that stuff that wasn't, I hadn't really been out of the mire of, you know, intergalactic threats for a while. So I like the idea of a return to the kind of movie that I grew up watching when I was a kid. In the beginning of the movie, when we find Dolittle, he's in recluse mode. So I wanted to think about the character that I'm creating is someone who has become a hermit and isolated himself, probably due to some trauma or emotional or disappointment or whatever. And his reasoning is that he's taken it upon himself to help the animals only, but really it's that thing of where he's given up on humanity, and he has secreted himself to this estate that was gifted him by the Queen. This local boy who probably also is developing the gift of being able to understand and eventually communicate with across species, genus, and phylum. He brings this injured squirrel because there's obviously the urban or the suburban legend of this crazy, you know, doctor who lives in this estate. And he just happens to bring him by right on the same day that Lady Rose comes from Buckingham Palace to say that he's being summoned to try to ascertain what is ailing the Queen. It really does take this boy who is very game and very intuitive and doesn't have the best home life, but it's a bit of a stretch that you think he would have some amazing learning experience and adventure with this hermit. But the animals kind of clean him up, and then against his will, the kid really makes a strong showing of how game he is to want to be part of this. And so while he still gives him a lot of guff along the way, he really warms to this young fellow. Harry Collett is a real rising talent and a star. I remember seeing his screen testing and going, oh my God, I wonder if that's what like Tom Cruise was like when he was 11. And but he's very much his own guy, and he's just a really capable kid. As far as the design goes, we would go into these sets, and with Dominic, the person in charge of the production designer, we would just kind of walk around the spaces and outfit him and talk about him for hours and really think about it in terms of the blocking, but also it's not often that you're doing a living room set where you're saying, all right, now, wouldn't we have to make room for a polar bear to get in here? And what about, where can the giraffe put her head in the window? And, you know, and what's a comfortable place for a silverback gorilla to sleep? So that was a lot of what we did, was literally just trying to set up all these environments to house this motley crew of creatures.
He is a pirate that is almost treated as a king, who live in an island called Monteverde, who is kind of a country filled with different type of people, mainly pirates from different latitudes. It's like proposing a game. And if the other person says, oh yeah, I know what that game is, I want to play with you, then it happens, you know. There is no reaction, there is no fear, there is no second thoughts, and there is no agendas. There is just everything is for the sake of the story, and everything is for the sake of having fun as actors. And I saw that in Robert from minute one, and I think he detected something like that from me. So we started just having fun with those characters, you know, and we could have been just playing with them for longer than that. I know that too, because there was material there just to start just pulling things, and it was great. Actually, those days with Robert have been great, because I feel really, from the bottom of my heart, a great admiration for his work. I'm a follower of what he has done, and I got a big deal of respect. There is something about his acting always that enclose irony, and irony is equal to intelligence. Harry brings to the character what he is as a human being, clearly, and he got a very noble heart. He's just a very clean human being, very white and friendly. In Spain we say cariñoso, loving would be the translation, and a great compañero, a great partner to be on the set with him. I go away with a fantastic impression of this young actor who I think is going to make a splash, because what I have seen of him, he's very free to communicate. He's very, in his simplicity, beautiful and complex, thoughts. It's a phenomenal fantasy, because, as I said before, not only just kids, but anybody would love to know what is in the mind of those animals that, especially that we love, our cats, our dogs, horses, domestic animals, but beyond the domestic animals, the wild animals, what they think. So the possibility of just having that contact, it's phenomenal, it's different, and it's very magic.
I'm a doctor, and I am the Queen's doctor, the young Queen Victoria's doctor. But I'm also part of the nefarious plot of Lord Badgley to take over power. So I'm sort of working for him, and I get dispatched to follow Dolittle on his adventure and to try and thwart his plans. MUDFLY has harbored ill feelings towards Dolittle for many, many years. I think at heart he's really jealous of Dolittle. I think he recognizes that Dolittle has a kind of wild, raw, natural ability that he lacks. And I think for all his apparent hatred of Dolittle's spontaneity and chaos, actually he's really envious of that kind of freedom that Dolittle has. And so he's sort of turned that envy and that jealousy and that admiration, I suppose, I think, for Dolittle into a kind of burning desire to stop him and thwart him. It's a lot of just trying out things and going with things, going with instincts in the moment, and if you can connect with that and play off that, then all kinds of interesting things can come out of that, which is great. And sometimes the most enjoyable things that come out in front of the camera are things that just happen in the moment, that if it was a play or if it was in a rehearsal room or something, you'd miss it, but because it's there on film, you've got it, so you never know when that might work out. So and it makes the day a lot more enjoyable as well, to just be able to kind of have a good laugh with someone.
Lady Rose is confident, kind, determined, and she just sees the beauty in everything and everyone. She is very determined to be able to save the Queen. She is very determined to help Stubbins really believe in himself. She's really observant. She can see things in people that most people don't see. Robert he's incredible, really. I mean, just looking at him on set, acting and working is just incredible. I learned so much from him. And he went out of his way to make sure that me and Harry were okay and we were feeling comfortable, and he's just the most hilarious person. I mean, he always knows how to make jokes, and really just the mood is always great. And I really look up to him. I met him at the auditions, actually, and I had to do I think it was 2 scenes with him. And it was quite weird, because at first, you're just walking into an audition and you don't know who the person is and you just have to act. But then gradually, as we got to know each other better, I mean, he is the funniest, nicest person, really. He really is. And he is very talented. and it was really great to work with him, and it's really nice to work with someone that's your age because you get to form a really nice bond.
Stubbins is just a normal kid who grows up in a normal village, but he's very shy. He doesn't really like to talk to any other people, and he doesn't really have any friends except animals. He absolutely loves animals, and I think that's really special. What's really special about Stubbins. And then one day, something amazing happens, and he just completely opens up. Obviously, Dolittle and Stubbins at the start, Dolittle hates Stubbins, which hopefully wasn't the case with me and Robert at the start. But I absolutely love Robert, and same as Stubbins absolutely loves Dolittle, and they're friends really. And hopefully me and Robert can stay friends as well. And I think it really helps getting into the character with Stubbins and Dolittle compared to Harry and Robert, because you see that connection with Stubbins and Dolittle as because it's there with Harry and Robert. I think that really helps it. He's made me, I think, a much better actor with giving me all this advice. So I think he was very helpful, and he's not only just he's not only just a co-star. He's like my friend, as I like to call it. So he's really nice, and it's nice to have that out of work connection as well as going in on set, and me and him chatting and just having fun on set. I love the relationship with Stubbins and Lady Rose, and CARMEL's brilliant as well, but I love it because they're both completely opposites. Stubbins is this really shy person, and he's just doesn't really want to talk to anyone, but he finds this beautiful girl which is really strong, powerful, and she just has got a lot of power, and they both have missions. He wants to save his squirrel, and she wants to save the Queen. I don't really know which one is more important for Stubbins, but I'm pretty sure he wants to get this squirrel saved before the Queen gets saved. So it was sort of like a competition between the two, but he's secretly in love with her. The best location by far over all of them was Blenheim Palace, which was absolutely incredible. We got to go inside because nobody was really there because we were shooting there, so we got to have like a private tour of the whole of Blenheim Palace, and it's just a beautiful place with historical grounds, and it's really cool. So I think I was really lucky to get to go.
Robert has an extraordinary energy, and you can see there's a fantastic sort of talent bursting out of him, and it's quite different from a British sort of approach, which is exciting for us. You know, there's a dynamism there and an energy that is quite exciting, and given that he's also a brilliant actor, it all comes through in a very stimulating way. I think it's a fantasy all children have in a way, and you know, that they can talk to animals and animals can talk to them. That would be, you know, so exciting, so useful. And I think that in a way, having had that fantasy as a child, you carry that through your life, and I think everyone is sort of intrigued by that. And you know, how much do animals understand? Do they really know what we're saying? All that, it just taps into that. And then taking it to the nth degree, as this film does, is great fun.
It's so much fun. It's really like playful. He's incredibly playful, and it's amazing to watch. Like his imagination is just like something which is so unconscious, but something which is just, it's like an exorcism. You know, he just kind of tumbles stuff out, and you're like, have to keep up. You feel like you're about to jump, be a greyhound in a race that's about to take off, you know, and you just want to run with him and have fun. But it's really light, it's very organic, it's, creative. Dolittle acts out of his heart and wanting to do good in the world, and in his own quirky, mad, Rumpelstiltskin kind of way. He doesn't really change for anybody because he knows ultimately what's in his heart, and what he values is far richer than what people are running towards. So yeah, I think that's why he still is around.
They want him to be happy, and I do think it is this very unusual family that has been living together, and it's been going okay, but I think they all know that there's room for sort of improvement, and they're quite happy to get outside the walls of the manor as well. The great thing with Dolittle is that he is very eccentric, but so is Sherlock and Tony and all that. But there is a part of him that is incredibly compassionate as well, because he does have these animals that he cares a lot about, and he does have a very scarring loss that he is carrying with him through this whole movie, that he's trying to find a way to reconcile. It was a blast working with Antonio. I mean, he was so committed to bringing this crazy king to the screen. We gave him a look where it's really kind of fun. I mean, it's written as a pirate king, but we wanted to do it in a way that felt fresh, not, obviously pirates have been done very well on screen in these type of movies. And so he just brought sort of a whole other level of fun to it and really went for it. But one of the other great things with RASSOULI is, other than having a real beef against Dolittle, there's a lot of emotion behind what his issues are. And so you needed an actor who could give you both, who could play up the fun of this role and really enjoy it, who could bring some menace, because he is dangerous to Dolittle, who you believed would rule an entire pirate island where animals and people live amongst each other equally. And then at the end of the day, had an emotional side to him that you would also understand why he is the way he is. And he was incredible. He was super committed and just a lot of fun to play with. It was also very important to us that each of the animals had distinguishing characteristics. So if we have our parrot, or we have our dog, or we have our polar bear, it doesn't look like every other animal that would be, in a zoo or on a, shelf as a stuffy, like in the store or something. We wanted them to have their own personality, but we also wanted to understand, why were they with Dolittle? That was equally as important. They were all there for some reason. And a lot of it was physical, but some of it was he was helping them, more emotionally or mentally. His doctoring is not just, making sure that, again, the dog has glasses or the polar bear has the right hat to keep him warm, but it's also helping them, emotionally, whether it is Chi-Chi finding a way to be brave, or Plimpton getting out of his own neurotic head and not being so negative about everything.